On this week's episode of CensorTrack with Paiten, we are at CPAC. We're going backstage to talk with some of the speakers about all things big tech, free speech, and media bias. We just had a panel on media bias. So if there's one thing that you want viewers to take away from this panel, what would that be? Larry, I'll start with you.
Well, I mean, I think that it's clear that media bias is a sort of old-fashioned term for it now. It goes well beyond just media bias. They're weaponized, and they're trying to not just win an argument or influence people by tipping their thumb on the scale. They're actually trying to harm those of us who disagree with their left-wing narrative. And well, Chaya is kind of an example of how they tried to harm her personally, and we have to recognize who they are and what they're trying to do so that we're equipped to fight. And that's where Kurt comes in.
Amazing. Kurt, what are your thoughts?
Look, the regime media is the enemy. You should not help it, you should not patronize it, and you should mock it mercilessly. When you hear a bunch of people are laid off at the Picayune Telegraph, you should celebrate. The world needs more coders.
Amazing. Chaya, what do you think?
Well, I think that if I'm an example of anything, it's that one person can make a huge difference, even if you have no background in media or in journalism or in politics, if you have no connections or know anyone who can help you. I had none of that, and I built it to this massive platform, which it is today, which is making a huge difference in America.
Can I just reiterate why that's why they hate you so much?
Yes.
They had to go to like Northwestern University of all places for 4 years. They're still paying off their student loans for a useless journalism degree, and they have had not nearly as much impact as you have.
They don't get engagement, they don't get followers, they don't get views, and they're jealous of me, yeah. But also I want to inspire people out there. Like if you see something, you have to speak up, you have to say something, and that's how we're going to take back our country. And you can do it. I'm proof of that.
Amazing. I love it. Mr. Bozell, what do you think?
I wrap it all together. We have to make this a national issue. We have to make it the most important issue. Free speech is the most important issue for our movement. We've got to become storytellers, but we can never lower ourselves to their level. We have to be at Kurt's level. They have no sense of humor, ridicule. We've done it for years. It just drives them nuts. It drives them nuts when you quote them. By God, the stuff you said today, I mean, they need smelling salts right now. Every single day, Larry O'Connor, every single day you drive them nuts. That's how you win.
So we just concluded a panel on big tech censorship, and I want to get your thoughts. What is the most important thing you wanted viewers to take away from this panel? I'll start with you.
Well, I think the takeaway is, big is not always bad. I mean, there are a lot of opportunities that come from economy of scale, and a lot of business people could tell you that. But when there becomes a power imbalance where harms start to maybe outweigh the benefits, for example, if there's privacy rights at issue or freedom of speech is in jeopardy or our children are being harmed, we need to be able to regulate. States need to be able to regulate. The federal government needs to be able to regulate. And I hope that they will address that in the reality that we live in now. There's a way to do that where Congress can come in and say, look, when 230 and was enacted 25 years ago, we never dreamed we'd be living and dealing with an AOL statute in an AI age. Freedom of speech is so important, but that's just one thing we need to be protective of as we address this. Stop interpreting 230 so broadly, but we know Congress can ultimately address this and do something about it. So we're super excited to see what they have in store for us.
Amazing. Senator, what are your thoughts?
So economy of scale does come into play, but you got to remember when this was done, they had a negative net worth. When your net worth collectively of the four companies exceed all other countries other than 4 or 5, when you looked at that chart, that's too much power. So at some point, you're just going to have to trust that good things will happen, especially when you have no real competition. So 230 was meant so that you didn't kill a fledgling industry. It's the biggest in the world, and it's controlling information, and you can prove it without a doubt that it's favoring one side of the aisle.
Dan, any final thoughts?
Yeah, big tech operates in so many different abusive ways. We've talked about censorship. They do other things to us. It gets really difficult, and if I start talking about artificial intelligence and how it's going to be used in a social credit type system, it gets crazy. But I want everybody to follow these issues carefully, get involved in these issues. We've got CensorTrack, which has documented over 5,000 cases of censorship. many of them sitting members of Congress, some state AGs who've been censored by big tech. And we've got the documented cases. If somebody thinks that they've experienced censorship, go to our website, censortrack.org, and fill out some information. We'll get that documented. We are working with Congress. We're trying to get these things done. We're going to be working with more state AGs soon. So stay tuned and keep in the fight.